Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Liberty Counsel files an emergency appeal with the appellate court asking for an injunction before the end of December. I am Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Matt Barber to talk about this change therapy case out of the state of California. Matt, some interesting developments have happened with regards to our lawsuit regarding this so-called change therapy in California. That law, SB 1172, goes into effect on January 1, 2013, and it says that counselors can only provide one viewpoint on same-sex attractions, behavior, and identity, and that is affirming or accepting, promoting them as normal and natural, but can't say anything with respect to anything reducing or eliminating same-sex attractions, behavior, or identity. And also, minor clients can only receive that one viewpoint as well. Well, on December the 3rd, a federal judge in Sacramento gave an injunction blocking that law, but limited it only to the 3 counselors in that particular case. In our case, on December 4, the federal judge ultimately did not grant an injunction and didn't even see any First Amendment issues to be concerned about, although she acknowledged that there would be some significant harm to our clients if this thing went into effect on January 1. So we immediately appealed it, and we've also filed with the court a request for an emergency injunction pending the appeal, because January 1 is D-Day for our clients, which are counselors as well as parents and minor children.
Yeah, a clear viewpoint discrimination here. It's disappointing, certainly, that Judge Mueller declined to grant our preliminary injunction. Let me ask you this, Matt. You know, the Ninth Circuit is known for being the most liberal court in the land, and certainly has ruled favorably on cases involving homosexuality if you're coming from a pro-homosexual activism perspective. But if you look back at the record of the Ninth Circuit, for instance, in the high-tech decision, the Ninth Circuit acknowledged that, for instance, homosexuality is not immutable. It's not an immutable characteristic, which means that it is a mutable characteristic, or it is a changeable characteristic. So clearly that is a perspective that is still very much alive. So from a First Amendment standpoint, and just based on the scientific facts, it seems that the Ninth Circuit has already kind of voiced an opinion as to the immutability of homosexuality, that change is possible.
That's right. Well, and we don't even necessarily have to get to that issue, but certainly it helps us. Yeah. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is where we're going, but we also have a decision from that court regarding medical marijuana. When California passed medical marijuana as legal, the federal government still has it as banned. And so the federal government created rules and regulations that doctors in California could not recommend or discuss with their patients the medicinal uses of marijuana. They could say negative things about marijuana, but they couldn't say positive things about marijuana. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, when that was challenged, said that that was a viewpoint-based discrimination. It was affecting the rights of the doctor patients with regards to their viewpoint on speech on this otherwise permissible subject matter, namely marijuana. Here, what we have is same-sex attractions, behavior, and identity, those 3, and you can only give one viewpoint on it. You can't give the other viewpoint. So we've got some strong precedent. On the other hand, it does deal with homosexuality. And like in the abortion cases, you ultimately have these abortion distortion type of cases, what we call when you have typical free speech issues and they bend the rules with regards to the fact that the subject matter is abortion. Hopefully we don't have that here, but this is very critical as we move forward, because when we're talking about sexual orientation, the definition of that is not uniformly agreed upon within even the legal or the medical professions and the counseling profession. You know, is it just feelings? Is it behavior? Is it mannerisms? Is it identity? Well, the statute kind of includes all 3. So if you have mannerisms or even speech that may be inconsistent with your actual maleness or femaleness, and somebody wants to have some counsel that would have their mannerisms or speech more consistent with their actual genetics, for example, as just one person might want to do, you would be violating the law. Mm-hmm. You would be violating the law in California.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Even though the client wants the counseling and the client doesn't want to act, behave, or do something in a certain way.
Well, let's be very clear here. The homosexual activists want to have their cake and eat it too. What they're trying to do is, out of one side of their mouth, say that so-called sexual orientation is fixed and immutable, that it cannot change. Yet GLSEN, for instance, the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, in training materials that they have, they teach children that homosexuality or that all sexual orientation is, quote, fluid and can, quote, change over time. In fact, in their Klein scale of sexual attraction that GLSEN uses to teach children, to indoctrinate children, says this, quote, a homosexual may change to a bisexual or heterosexual identity. So they know that it's not fixed, that it is changeable. And so you have to ask, what possible reasons do they have for challenging people who have unwanted same-sex attractions? They don't want people to leave homosexuality, but mainly, Matt, doesn't it boil down to a legal and a political calculus? In order to gain suspect minority status, they have to say, don't they, that it's immutable and unchangeable. So isn't this law, SB 1172, a means to that end?
Well, I think it's a means to just silencing any kind of opposition. And it interferes with the counselor and the client, as well as the parents in this particular case. Yeah. We have minor children who have enjoyed and benefited from the counseling. They've been in it for 15 months to 4 months, the ones that we represent. They want to have the counseling. They benefited from it. Their individual self-esteem has gone up. Their anxiety has gone down. Their relationship with their friends has improved, and their parents has improved. If this counseling stops on January 1, and on January 1 they get 180-degree different counseling than they did on December 31, how damaging is that going to be? If you have someone who is sexually molested by the likes of a Jerry Sandusky, and then they begin to get anger problems, and they begin to act out that kind of abuse that they experienced at the perpetration of a Jerry Sandusky kind of abuser, they start acting it out, and they don't want to do that. And they come to a counselor for help. The counselor will have to tell that person, don't worry about it. That's natural and normal. Just pursue it. The counselor won't be able to counsel that person consistent with that person's desire that they do not want to act out on that kind of behavior.
And that is perhaps the most egregious aspect of this, Matt, is that they tell kids, sexual abuse victims, which a study in the Archives of Sexual Behavior found that 46% of homosexuals were molested in childhood, and researchers with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have found that people who identify as gay are 3 times as likely to have been sexually molested. So we know that, not in all cases, but certainly in a large percentage of cases, sexual abuse by another homosexual pedophile, it leads to same-sex attraction. And there are a lot of people that don't want to have those same-sex attraction. GLSEN admits that they're changeable, that they're fluid. So, why on earth are they fighting this and making up quack science to say that change isn't possible when they admit that it is?
And there's also a lot of evidence that boys that experience same-sex attractions spontaneously just have those disappear as they grow up. So now what you're doing is telling this young boy who would otherwise have this just spontaneously disappear without counseling that, no, this is how you are for the rest of your life.
You're gay forever.
Yeah, and this is how you're cabined in for the rest of your life. How damaging is that? I mean, that is pigeonholing someone. Jerry Sandusky would welcome a law like SB 1172. It would do more damage to these young boys than is imaginable, and it would destroy the entire counseling system as well.
Well, that's why I've been calling them Sandusky Laws, because that's exactly what they are. They literally take somebody who has been sexually abused and say there is only one result that can end from this. You are now either gay or transgendered. There's no way out and no help for you from any licensed therapist.
Well, we'll continue to keep you informed, continue to pray for this case because the clock is ticking. We need this injunction pending appeal before the end of 2012. January 1, 2013, this law goes into effect. It'll have catastrophic implications for counselors, parents, and minors all over California. Go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. Remember to sign up for our Liberty Alert and also our Grassroots Action email. All of that's right there on the front page as well, lc.org. You can also order some of our resources, my book, Same-Sex Marriage, Putting Every Household at Risk, Dr. Judith Reisman's book, Sexual Sabotage, and much more. Go to Liberty Counsel's website to also remember this ministry for your year-end giving. You can make an online credit card contribution right there. You can also call us at 1-800-671-1776 or send in your check for the end of the year. The address is right there at lc.org.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.